Several months ago, I did a tier list of all the weapons in the first Dead Rising game, and a lot of you guys seem to really enjoy it. I even got some comments from other people in the community. I've been wanting to make another Dead Rising tier list video for a while now. I just kinda hadn't decided what I wanted to do it about. There's a bunch of different things that I've seen on YouTube. I'll link a bunch of good ones in the description below. But one that I actually haven't seen anybody do yet, but I could be wrong about this, is the missions themselves, the cases in the game that you'll be doing. So in this video, I will be going through each individual mission and ranking them on a tier list, and then after that, I will be moving on to a separate tier list where I will rank each individual case in the game, you know, like all 8 or 9 of them, I guess you can say, if you count the facts as a case. The first real mission you'll be doing in Dead Rising is a dangerous encounter. It's not really much of a mission, it more just acts as a way to start the actual gameplay. All you have to do is go through the air vent and get into the mall before activating that cutscene where Jessie tells you that Brad is in danger. She'll then give you a gun and send you on your way. Overall, not a very good mission and there's not a whole lot to it, but it does set up the game really well, and that feeling you get when you walk through the door for the first time ever into that mall is just unbeatable, man. But on replays after that, it's just kind of a cutscene that establishes how the cases work, and not really any gameplay to it itself, so for that I'm just going to put it down in a bit of a slog. The second mission is Backup for Brad, and this one is immediately great, and it sets up the game super well with this high tension, super great boss fight against Carlito. I've always loved that the game starts with this basically. It really just throws you right into the action. Sure, you can explore for a bit before this. You're given the option to explore for quite a while before you actually have to go help Brad. So a lot of players will probably be like, oh, I'm getting the gist of this game, I'm getting comfortable with it, I'm feeling a bit like a zombie killing badass, but then you get shot at by Carlito and his crazy ass machine gun, which I so wish would have been an actual weapon in the game that you could have used at some point. But yeah, no, this is a great mission. It's a fun boss fight even though it's pretty simple. I love the area that it's done in. I feel like it's very iconic. And I mean, that's kind of like the only real story purpose that the food court serves in the game, so yeah, so I think it's nice though. I'm gonna put what the game is made of. Actually, you know what? Fuck it. Peak Dead Rising. I'm gonna put that right in Peak Dead Rising because right away, that is the mission for a lot of people that tells them if they're going to be into this game or not. The next mission is also just another really simple thing of just kind of following someone. You just have to follow Brad through the mall as he takes you to go find the old man Barnaby, but you know, that doesn't really work out. It's kind of a nice way to show you around the mall a little bit. You don't really see that much, you just kind of see one plaza and then the main entrance, and there's just really not a whole lot to do here. You can just kind of run through all of it in a few minutes. So on replays of the game, it's just kind of a bit of a slog, I guess, so I'll put it there as well. The next mission is Temporary Agreement. Again, this is just kind of another mission where you have to be somewhere. It's one of those missions where you have to make it back to the security room, which can be a little annoying at times if you're getting really into the side content in the game and you're going out and saving survivors and trying to fight boss fights, and then you look at that timer and realize, oh, I gotta be back in the safe room in the next like 4 minutes or else my save is ruined. So it's a pretty good plot moment, and it's really nice to set up these characters' relationship with each other, but there's really no gameplay to it at all, so I would feel kind of weird putting it in anything other than a bit of a slog. The next mission is also kind of the same thing. It's in its own little trilogy, if that makes sense. Whenever Otis or Jessie calls you over the radio in the game, they usually just tell you, hey, there's something going on in this specific part of the mall, get over there. But sometimes, for whatever reason, when it's story related, they'd be like, hey, I saw something in the camera, I'm not gonna tell you what it is, but you better come see this shit. And then you go there and it's just like Carlito doing something, and it's set up for the next mission, which is the actual fun one. So yeah, once again, it's crazy how we already have 4 in this and only 1 in the good categories, but yeah, bit of a slog. But the next mission makes up for it so much. Rescue the Professor is such a great boss fight. I love the area it's in. I love Carlito's insanely powerful sniper rifle. It honestly just feels like the natural evolution of the first boss fight. Like, he's like, I can't hurt these guys with heavy military grade machine guns, so I might as well use tactical sniper rifles and shit. He can whop you with it. He can fucking send you flying. It is cool. It's a fun boss fight. I love the area, but it is really easy to cheese. I didn't really mention that the first one, but if you know what you're doing as well with any of these Carlito boss fights, or basically any of the boss fights in the game, they're very easy to cheese, but still doesn't take away from the fact that it's just a really well set up boss fight. So I'm going to put this one also in Peak Dead Rising. Medicine Run is really fun too, because after just doing a major boss fight against Carlito, you would think that the next mission would be more calmed down, but at this point in the game is when shit actually starts getting crazy. Brad is fucking bleeding to death, so you have to go get medicine for his ass, and you think it might just be easy enough, go to the grocery store, pick up the health pack, but then you run into this motherfucker, and shit just goes crazy. I love this boss fight so much. He's so fast and his weapon is so cool, and he's actually pretty intimidating the first time you fight him, because he seems like he's prepared for just about every fucking tactic that you have, except for that mini chainsaw, of course. So yeah, I'm also gonna put this one in Peak Dead Rising. We're almost even on bad to good missions. The next mission is also just kind of another exposition mission. Exposition mission, that's kind of a bar. The professor's passage him just kind of vaguely explaining what happened and what caused the zombies. You know, we actually find out way later on what the real deets were, but here he's just kind of being a vague little bitch, and then he kicks you out the room, and that's the whole mission. So once again, I hate to do it, put it in a bit of a slog. Next one as well, immediately bit of a slog. This is what I was talking about when I mentioned the other one earlier. It is just another one of these image in the monitor fucking missions where they make you go all the way back to the safe room just so you can look at something happening in the camera when you could have just told me. But the next mission also makes up for it, similar to the last one, because you get to fight Isabella. And this is a pretty cool boss fight, but it's not, I don't think it's up here like these ones. I don't think it's Peak Dead Rising. I'm gonna put it in what the game is made of, because while it's a fun boss fight and I really like the change of her riding around on a motorcycle, it's definitely a nice change of pace compared to most bosses in the game, but it's also kind of fucking broken. You have such a small area that you get to fight in, and it makes it seem like you can use these vantage points to your advantage, but you really can't, because as soon as you get up there, she fucking drives away. And getting hit by this thing is so annoying. Oh my god, Frank West straight up turns into a dreidel in the fucking air. But once you beat her, that's how you know the story is really fucking kicking in the third gear and shit's about to get crazy. It's a pretty fun boss fight, all things considered. The next mission is A Promise to Isabella. Now this one, I'm not really too much of a fan of this one either. It just kind of seems like a hassle to me. You go meet Isabella, she's injured because Carlito shot her, and then you have to just carry her back to the safe room. It's not necessarily hard or anything, it's just kind of a time-wasting, annoying thing that you have to do. So this is probably one of the only missions in the game that I just don't like, because it really does nothing for me. The next mission we have is when we finally learn the truth about Santa Cabeza. It's a really well done dramatic scene where the professor's slowly dying and he explains all the horrible shit that they did and how he has no fucking regret for any of it, and then he turns into a zombie and Brad shoots him in the face. It is just a cutscene like a few of the other ones that we've talked about here, but I actually really like this one, and I feel like I'm gonna rate it just a little bit higher because of its importance to the story. This one is really gonna stick with you because it really shows how dark this narrative actually is. At this point, you could be kind of like, oh yeah, this is just a fun little zombie game, but when you hear this shit, you're like, oh, it's pretty heavy stuff. Even though not really much of gameplay going on, I'm still gonna put it up in zombie killing fun, just because of its importance to the story and how well done of a scene it is, and also I guess it is kind of zombie killing fun because Brad shoots him in the fucking face. So the next mission is also just an exposition one. It's The Last Resort. But I'm gonna put this one also in zombie killing fun. You might call me biased for it, but I feel like just the guttural fucking feeling that you get when you find out what Carlito's backup plan is enough to make this like a middle tier mission. It's memorable just for that alone. When he comes over to that speaker and he's like, oh yeah, I got shot once and my sister ditched me, so I guess I give up. And then Isabella's like, oh yeah, by give up he means blow up the mall, and Frank's just kind of like, huh? But yeah, really well done, really heart-dropping moment. But the next mission that follows it up is immediately Peak Dead Rising, in my opinion. This is probably my personal favorite mission of the entire game. When I think of the story mode of Dead Rising, I think of this mission, and I feel like a lot of people do too. Going down into those tunnels the first few times you play this game can be challenging, and it can be scary, and even today I still kind of have to prep when I go down there. I always make a bunch of fucking quick step. I give me some queens in case I get, you know, fucking surrounded. It starts you out with a car, obviously, but that doesn't fucking last so long when you're constantly mowing down hordes of the dead. The car just immediately breaks. And you also have Carlito coming after you in his scariest form. Yeah, he's constantly chasing you in that ginormous truck. Shit is intense, man. And this is also the end of like your boss fight trilogy little thing that you have with Carlito. And the end of your team ups with Brad as well, because he dies, unfortunately. It's really a tragic moment that a lot of players don't even experience because it's an optional cutscene, which I always thought was neat. But yeah, just the importance of the story in this moment and how high the tensions are and the great action that they have in the cutscenes. It's just great to me. This is peak Dead Rising. This is what I think of when I think of their mission design. The next mission's also really simple. It's just kind of another exposition thing. Isabella basically is just like, we gotta figure out Carlito's plan, so you guys have hitched the idea to go back to his hideout so she can look at the computer and all that stuff. Again, I hate how long this part of the tier is gone, but I'm putting it in a bit of a slog. There's just not much to it. Hideout I will put a little bit higher, even though it's not a great mission per se, but it does set up the end of the story pretty well and gives us this mysterious tone of what is Carlito truly planning and how many fucking plans did this guy have. The next mission is the end of the trilogy of like image and the monitor things or whatever, but I'm gonna put this one down and hate this mission because at this point in the game you're gonna get pretty fucking tired of going all the way to the safe room just to see what's on the monitor, especially when you're on the opposite side of the fucking building before this mission begins, and then you have to go all the way down into the tunnels in the immediate mission after it. It's just kind of annoying. I don't like this mission. It doesn't serve any fucking point. But the next mission, also peak Dead Rising. Like I think I put all the fucking boss fights up here in the best missions, obviously, but they're just so good. The bosses in this game are so fun and so simple to me, and this one is great. Larry is scary and fast and strong, and he can throw huge things at you. He really puts up a decent fight if you don't know what you're doing. And the setting is really cool. It's this grimy fucking meat locker, and then big loud machines going the whole time, and there's this whole new layer of tension on top of it, knowing that you can't take this boss fight at your own approach like you could before. You're in much more of a hurry because Carlito is seconds away from being turned into fucking dog food. And for the story purposes, it serves alone too. I mean, Carlito's death is just handled so well. At this point in the game, you probably still just fucking hate him and see him as an unredeemable piece of shit. But when you hear about all this terrible shit that happened to him, you can kind of understand his perspective a little bit. It doesn't make what he did any better. You know, he did just kind of do the same thing that the government did to him. So he's still a bad guy, but you can understand his motive, and I really like that. I really like when they can give us more of a motive behind the fucking villains. Can you feel any empathy for somebody like TK? What the fuck was his motive besides money, bitch, money? And the next mission, the facts, is also just kind of simple, but I'm gonna put it all up in what the game is made of, because this category is basically empty at this point, and also because I feel like it sets up the end of the game really, really well. Jesse dies, it's tragic, you see the military come and invade, and you're like, what the fuck are we gonna do? There's literally like 2 characters left at this point because Otis just kind of leaves. We're backed into a fucking corner. Literally, what are we gonna do? How are we gonna get this story out to the public? And then that leads you into overtime mode really well. But overtime mode in comparison to its setup is not as good as in my opinion. I used to actually hate overtime mode because it is just kind of a really long grocery list that you have to do. And it's fucking difficult sometimes too, especially for your first few playthroughs. You're constantly being bombarded with military gunfire and those little drones. I mean, they're not even fucking drones. They're just like those little stupid RC helicopters. Like, bro, leave me the fuck alone. And the final boss also takes way too long. You just kind of have to pound on that guy. It's kind of an example of big health bar make challenging boss fight, right? But that's also not necessarily true in the sense that he does still put up a challenge. He has some decent moves and skill sets you have to pay attention to. And just watching Brock get his ass chewed up by those zombies is so fucking satisfying. Motherfucker had that coming. And like I said, I've always loved the ending of this game. I love the vagueness that it leaves us on, but I still love that we get to know that Frank at least made it out of Willamette, you know? If they had just cut to black and there was nothing after that, I probably wouldn't like this ending nearly as much. But that final shot of him screaming up into the air as the zombies surround a tank is just so fucking cool to me. And it is honestly what the game... Oh, no. what the game is made of. This one is extra. I didn't mean to put this one here. That is my tier list for the main missions in the game. Now, real quick, let's just do the cases themselves. But once again, real quick, if you want to do this tier list yourself, it will of course be linked in the description below. This one should be a bit quicker, but we have the actual cases themselves. These, if you don't know, are just kind of like the little individual chapters, I guess, that you'll be doing the missions in. They can vary from anything from like 4 missions to like 1. But the first one, I'm going to put it up in what the game is made of. I know that it's not like anything groundbreaking. It's mainly just a lot of setup, and you just have a few interesting boss fights in there. But like, it's just such a great opening to the game, and it gets a lot of people hooked immediately. Case 2, I'm also going to put that one in what the game is made of. It's also pretty simple, but it's just a lot of fucking fun, you know? It has a good memorable amount of missions. You can do it pretty quickly. This one I'm going to put in a little slow. Case 3 is what I mean. It's literally just a cutscene. It's literally just a cutscene. You don't get to do anything gameplay related at all. You just go there, you do the cutscene, and then you have to wait again for the next case to start, which, depending on how quick you got through all the side content that they were offering up at the time, you could be pretty bored after this. Case 4, not as good as well, but I'm going to put that in Zombie Killing Fun. It's at least a step up, and I like the gameplay here. You at the very least get that fun little boss fight with Isabella, but then again, it's just not that much. I don't know. It's just really not that much I can say. Case 5 is also just a little slow. It's literally just a cutscene. There's nothing to it. It's an important cutscene, but still a cutscene nonetheless. And for basing something off mainly gameplay, you're not going to get that many points just on how good your cutscenes are. Case 6, I'm going to put it up in Peak Dead Rising. Even though it's a short case, it's only like the one mission. It's just so perfect. You're not going to get me to change my mind. I love that mission so much. And then, of course, we have Case 7, the final real case of the game, I guess. I'm going to put this one up in Zombie Killing Fun. It's... Nah, I'll put it up in what the game is made of. Okay, I'll do it. Just for the story importance alone, too, and you also had that fun Larry boss fight, but it's a pretty good little final chapter for the game to close on. And then, of course, you had the facts, which I'll just put down as Zombie Killing Fun. It's very middle of the ground. It's just kind of like a cutscene that wraps everything up, but it's a good cutscene, and it wraps everything up in an interesting and exciting way, so I'm fine with it. But that's it, guys. That's my tier list for all the cases and all the individual missions in those cases in Dead Rising. Looking at it here really makes me realize that there's not that many main missions in Dead Rising, is there? It's just kind of the timer that makes the game go on for longer. But yeah, like I said, of course, if you want to do this yourself, they'll be linked in the description below. And thanks for watching my tier list video. This has all just been my opinion, of course. I'm not like right or objectively speaking about this, just how I feel whenever I play the game, as someone who's been playing the game since I was like 8 years old. But for now, I hope this was fun, and I'll see you next time. Thanks again for watching, and if you like this at all, make sure to like and subscribe. Thank you.